what they're really thinking rather than what they're saying. And the most amazing study is politicians.
Almost makes me want to take some of my videos.
You got to hear Bill Clinton. You got to hear these guys. Now, some of them are so stupid, like George W. Bush, they actually sometimes believe what they're saying. But he also, as well, we'll get into 9/11. A lot of people have already studied that, so, you know.
Yeah, there's zeitgeist.
So let's pull that fear out of your bag of goodies, or baddies, if you will, that they employed to keep you in a state of fear. Why did he want to keep you in fear? So you feel like a victim. And when you're in victimhood, you become subject to whatever comes your way. Rather than being the person who inspires it through spirit already within to manifest a different way in your world. So just by changing your perspective a bit, you've taken some fear out. The earth is going back to zero. There is nothing you can do about it, and it's not your fault. It happened when Tiamat hit planet Earth anywhere between 9 to 13 to 15,000 years ago. The Pleistocene age, a complete lie. Even Darwin himself, when he was out traveling the world on the Beagle, had private notes that said, "This ain't making sense. This looked like it happened in an instant. I found these whale bones at the top of a mountain, and this didn't occur over millions of years. This occurred in an instant." That's the story of the deluge and the flood. We were hit by chunks from a planet they called Tiamat. Forget about the war with the gods. Forget about why it even happened. It did happen. Turned the planet on their side. We've been wobbling and slowly trying to recover ever since. And we're living in the age when it's going to occur.
One person could argue about the Pleistocene age is that the explosion of life, as a lot of people currently say, is they could also say that...
Yeah, the sun came out one day. Because after that, it was pretty disastrous. There was darkness. There was an ice age. Dark ages were a result of something that happened on planet Earth, which changed the consciousness of man. Here they are battling and whacking each other again after a period of where people were trying to develop their own boundaries and territories and saying, "This is yours, I'll leave you alone, this is mine." Now all of a sudden, they're back at it again. And then what happened afterwards was the sun came out. Now we're back heading into the Age of Enlightenment. Just prior to that, they had the full-on Age of Darkness before they knew. See, what you also have to understand about the Catholic Church is, first of all, they stole their name from the Cathars, and they also stole the library from Alexandria. Most of it is now underneath the Vatican. And the Vatican came from the Latin term Vaticanus, which is where they killed Christians. Isn't that funny? The circus is where they killed Christians. But the Vaticanus is all tied into that. Now they have an Egyptian obelisk out front. Why? Why do they wear white collars? It's tied back to the Egyptian priesthood and their worship of Set, which became El. It was all tied into the same place. El was the satellite, the dark satellite known as Saturn. That's why even the Hebrews, as far back as they went, they worshipped him too. He demanded sacrifice. He demanded animals be slaughtered. He demanded a lot of things.
He's a very evil god, basically.
Well, you know, the Gnostics say this place was created and is controlled by an evil god.
I believe it.
Zoroaster said we had the Ahura Mazda and the Angra Mainyu. Angra Mainyu sounds a lot like Angry Man, and I'm not the first person that noticed that. So it was Angry Man who said some god chose us to be the chosen ones. No, actually, if you look into the history of it and you consider certain aspects, you can see that when the Hyksos came, who were they? Give it some thought. Read Velikovsky's stuff. Read on some other people. There was a book recently. It was called Secrets of the Exodus, the Jewish origin of the Egyptian pharaohs and the pharaohs and their play into all of this.
Oh, in other words, Jewish origin of the pharaohs?
If you study Akhenaten's bloodline, you will see that there's a story told, and you can read Sir Lawrence Gardner's stuff about this. He'll show you the bloodline. But there was a separation between the priesthood of Amos and Re. Re being the sun worshippers,
of course,
who wrestled back in a very devious, diabolical way the priesthood from Akhenaten. At one time he was Amenhotep IV, which meant Amen is pleased. Amen being Amen Re, or the sun god. They say that he wanted to bring in worship of the sun god called the Aten. No, that's not true. The Aten came from the Hebrew aspect that he learned from his uncles on the Hebrew side, who were rabbis, who taught Akhenaten that the Adonai is a different God from Yahweh. So he wanted to bring in, Yahweh was tied to the sun god, was tied to the satellite, El, the priesthood of El. El was the golden calf, the horned one.
Mm-hmm.
He wanted to end that priesthood's worship and give people true enlightenment. So everything went from 2D to actual 3D. And he said, even make me look as I am, a little freakish. Because there is only one race, the human race, and we're all part of this experience. And I may be a little different from all of you, but I'm different from all of them too. And I'm here to teach you the truth. So he never went on an exodus as much as he was exiled by them. And they probably threatened him and said, we'll kill you and your whole family, or you can take all of your followers and we'll take over the throne again as the priests. And they did. And he left behind his wife, Nefertiti, and his son, Tutankhaten, who also serves the Aten from the Thoth bloodline, Thoth, or Thoth, or where we get the word thought, basically.
Yeah.
The original god of alchemy, Hermes, and Thoth. Where this was part of his message, was to teach people about alchemy, which when we go into the Bible,
Mm-hmm.
I'll show you the whole story of Exodus, was about turning all these people on to this substance. What are we going to eat, Moses? Where are we getting our word? Well, he came from the Tutmosis bloodline. And that has a meaning in and of itself.
Mm-hmm.
He who is fashioned from Thoth, and not Ra, or Rameses. He who was fashioned from Ra. Different. Sun worshippers. Still running the planet today.
Yeah.
Everywhere you go, you see sun worship. Now, why do they worship the sun?
Well, Jesus is
Because
pretty much a sun god in himself, isn't he?
You know, we could talk about his parallels with Apollo and so on, and these 26 other saviors that came to the planet who were born to a virgin, called the rock, and were crucified.
Yeah.
These are not always the true stories. He most definitely, Yeshua, was probably not crucified. He was an alchemist and he was a master. He came from the son of a master craftsman. He may have had that virgin birth, and when you study alchemy, there's something to this. I couldn't discount it completely, because there are too many stories of alchemists actually creating creatures, like Rabbi Lowe and the Golem. One alchemist that created a homunculus to help around the office.
Oh, I love that story.
It got out of hand. It's kind of like the movie I worked on, Bicentennial Man,
Mm-hmm.
where he creates Galatea, and she becomes a bit of a nuisance in Oliver Platt's office.
Yeah.
She gets a little out of control. So it's amazing how they take the stories of alchemy and the symbols of alchemy and sway our consciousness with it all the time. I'll give you one. McDonald's. I'm loving it. This is the ancient symbol of the alchemical symbol for the sun. Okay? And fire.
Really?
And fire. Yeah. So it's one of
Oh,
the
that's
true
right.
elements. Okay? It's one of the true elements. That's how they
That
get
was-
you to pull in. The Catholic Church does it by putting the symbol of alchemy, the quaternary, up in front of you on Sundays. Your consciousness is drawn to the truth. You know about alchemy. Somewhere in your energetic DNA, you remember many lives ago, because a lot of us have been here for a very long period of time. You remember that that's a true symbol, and it means the truth. The cup, we know. Yes, it does kind of represent giving birth, the fallopian tubes, so it's there for the divine feminine. But that cup was also what the Last Supper, allegedly, was served in. And what was that Last Supper? It was the white powder of gold. And after he ascended as a master and went and came back 50 times, what they call the Pentecost,
Mm-hmm.
he came back to his partner. Her real name wasn't Mary Magdalene. It was Mary Marie of Magdala. And her father, it means watchtower, her father was one of the great landowners of Jerusalem, the city of Jerusalem.
Oh, really?
And therefore, he was the watchtowers. It was his wall. So she was not some poor kid who had 7 demons in her and was a prostitute. If she was a prostitute, it was in their practices inside their temples,
I wouldn't be
which
surprised.
they called sacred.
Most of those sacred temples are so fraught with
Look
sinful
what
and
just happened with the little
crazy
girl out
ass
here.
shit.
Look what just happened with that little girl that went missing. And that whole family. Oh, yeah, that's
And
a little strange story, isn't it?
Yeah,
Anyhow,
the wife is...
When you study
but-
Satanism, you start to see that there's a pattern.
Mhm.
And when you see a pattern, there's usually smoke. And if there's smoke, there's fire. So what you do is you just start to see the repetition of these same elements at work, and you go, I know what they're up to. I know what they're up to. I know what they're up to. Now, at another level, maybe we don't. because as I chose to be in this world as who I am, I was also chosen. And my plan was also approved, which if you study palmistry, you'll see your life plan is in there.